very much for that speech. We now turn to the final speaker in the opposition, Peter Hitchens. Peter is a columnist for the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday, as well as a contributor to several other UK and US publications. He has previously worked as a resident correspondent in Moscow and Washington. He is an Anglican Christian. You have the ears of the House.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the past several days, I've been having this recurring nightmare in which I walk along my suburban street in Oxford and a van pulls up beside me with a screech of brakes and 5 very tough women leap out, bundle me into the van, drive me to Cambridge and propel me into a large room full of left-wing people to defend religion against feminism. And then I wake up and I find that that is, in fact, exactly what I'm doing. It's not necessarily the easiest task I've ever undertaken. And I have some very powerful opponents. And I've listened to a great deal of eloquence and thought here. But one thing I was struck with in the speech of Mariam Namazi that was actually, I think, the best of the evening. She did say something quite strikingly definitive, and I would like to read it out if I may find my glasses. It runs like this. Every form of religion has degraded women. And I think that is the statement which I would like to take on and object to and weave around a small argument to suggest that some of you who have come here to think and listen to debate might actually be prepared to accept, despite anything else you might have thought. The positions of feminism and of Christianity, and Christianity is the tradition I have to speak for here because it is the one to which I belong, are both propositions of enormous power and considerable beauty. And one is ancient and one is modern. To me, the most powerful and concise expression of the Christian religion is in the Sermon on the Mount, delivered by a real man in real time to real people, which remains to me and to anybody who reads it, I think, with any care, one of the most astounding expressions of how to live and how to be good that's ever been made. I wouldn't want to compare it directly, but the most superb and lucid expression of feminism I have ever come across, and one with which I have no disagreements at all, was first made in this city by Virginia Woolf in that very fine essay, A Room of One's Own. I do not myself see how anyone can seriously say, confronted with my own church, the Church of England, that there is a fundamental incompatibility between the two. For one thing, I would say without any question at all that women have saved the Church of England. And this is an important thing because in the country of England, there is one institution where there is always somebody living, not just visiting for the day or being there for a bit or responding to phone calls, somebody living, trying to exercise goodness and to support goodness wherever it exists. And that person in this country will be the Minister of Religion sent there by the Church of England to run the parish. And in every poor and really degraded and hard-living part of the country, that is what you will find. And many of those people are women. And the decision of the Church of England, which was initially reluctant and foot-dragging, but was eventually full-heartedly made and is now absolutely accepted by everybody in my church, to not just permit, but to encourage women into the Church of England ministry has been an enormous success in that small but powerful cause. Yes, indeed.
Does relying on the labour of women make it feminist?
Yes, it does. It absolutely does, because I think it's been, there has been, well, I would say that the strengthening of the church at the time when religion was failing, actually largely in this country, and the Christian religion weakened, the strengthening of the church was probably only achievable by women. Yes, of course.
Isn't this timeline of improvement of the Church of England becoming more feminist, isn't it completely the same as the timeline when many other Christian faiths regard the Church of England as becoming less religious than everything. And I think the words of Yes Minister are appropriate here, that Minister, the Church of England is no longer a religious organization, it's a social organization. Its priests aren't allowed to call themselves atheists anymore. That would be banned. They just call themselves modernists or progressives.
You could make that criticism. My own experience is different. You'll certainly find in the higher reaches of any church, in the more political regions, you'll certainly find expressions of that, and I would be foremost among those criticizing those in my church and any other church who take that view. But I don't think you will find it among those who live on practically nothing in grim parts of the country, attempting to do good and to stand up for good. I simply don't think you will. Why otherwise would they even do it? We had also, in the arguments for the proposition, we had quite a long and almost inspiringly fundamentalist and literal reading of the Bible, for which I thank you very much. But I'm familiar with this, but I think it's well known among Christian believers and indeed among their opponents that fundamentalist and literalist readings of scriptures are not necessarily the most intelligent or thoughtful or indeed correct readings. And I would say that it has been another of the successes of the church for which I speak for here, that it has not tended to take the fundamentalist or the literalist reading, but has sought to find in scripture the reflection, as I say, of the central part of all Christian scripture, namely the Sermon on the Mount, which I referred before. So this is my simple point. It simply is not true that religion of itself is incompatible with feminism. It is also not true that feminism is necessarily the, how shall I put it, rather revolutionary belief into which it has developed. If one takes Virginia Woolf's essay and compares it with some of the arguments put forward by feminists now, I think one might well be surprised by the difference between the two. And we could have spent all evening here trying to argue over the definitions of both the major subjects being argued about tonight, and I was tempted to do it, and I'm sure you were too. We haven't done that. What we've done is we've been arguing about the fundamental principle, the fundamental proposition made by you, that there is absolutely no possibility that the two things can truly coexist. I think that's wrong. I think it's proven to be wrong in practice by brave, dedicated individuals, day after day, everywhere in this country, and I think we should recognize that this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to all of the speakers this evening. But before we all leave and vote, there's just a few sort of brief notices that I need to run through. So tickets for the Winter Ball are still on sale. However, the floor speech prize next week is a free ticket. So if you're really keen on coming but don't want to pay, come and make a good floor speech and maybe you'll get that free ticket. There is a debate tomorrow on This House Believes Britain is More Divided Than Ever. We have Ken Griffin followed by Networking with Citadel on Monday, and we have Little Sims that's now been changed to Tuesday, so do come along for that. The winner of the floor speech prize goes to the speech in abstention over there. And now, finally, we vote in this house with our feet. At the back of the house, you'll see the ayes, the noes, and down the middle, the abstentions. Please get up on your feet, vote, and follow us to the bar afterwards, where there's free chips and the vote will be announced. Thank you very much, everybody.